Hello, hi, and welcome. If you're new here, my name is Sarah, and this is Wicked Reading. So it is officially May, which means it is officially Escape the Readathon. Escape the Readathon is one of my all-time favorite readathons. It's a month-long readathon hosted by Lexi over at Books with Lexi. I will link her announcement video down below. It's a team-based competitive readathon that I helped co-host last year. Last year it was a carnival theme. It was so much fun. This year it's a cruise theme, so pretty much all the teams are stuck on this cruise and we want to get out. Although my job this year is actually game master, so I'm actually trying to stop teams from escaping. My reads will actually count against whatever team I am going after whatever said day. So that said, I decided it would be fun to kind of have Instagram control what I read. So over on my Instagram, I put up 3 polls and we're gonna go through the results and I'm gonna read the books and we're gonna do it one by one. So I will go through the results and the books as I am reading them. So the first poll I put up was kind of based on vibes. So I split the screen between 2 different vibes, 2 kind of like Pinterest-esque boards. And then I also added some emojis. I was really surprised by the results of this one. Honestly, I thought that the top one was gonna win, but it wasn't even like close. So I was really surprised by this one. But the top book that did not win was Lost in the Garden by Adam S. Leslie. This is a chunky horror that we are following a group of people who go to the English countryside and things go very wrong. It is described as creepy, dreamlike, unsettling, and unforgettable. I think it has kind of cult vibes to it, kind of like Midsommar, but this one did not win. And instead, the winner that I will be reading is Last Days by Adam Neville. This is another chunky horror, and in this one, we are following a documentary crew as they decide to create a documentary surrounding this death cult. It's got like that found footage feel. That's why I kind of had some like Blair Witch Project feel pictures up with the poll. It's very much giving me those vibes, so I'm going to jump into this one and I will check back once I've read some. I am approximately a third way into Last Days by Adam Neville. I'm on page 171, chapter 11, so it looks like about a third of the way into the book. And despite how chunky it is, it did kick off pretty quick. Like the action starts pretty fast, so that's good. I was kind of assuming that because it's so chunky, it was going to be a little bit more of like a slow burn. And I have read from Adam Neville before, like The Ritual. The Ritual by Adam Neville, which funnily enough, I actually read this 2 years ago when I first participated in Escape the Readathon, just like as a participant. This was the first book that I read for Escape the Readathon 2 years ago. So it's funny that this year, the first book I'm going to read for Escape the Readathon is another Adam Neville. Anyways, The Ritual was very slow building, very folky, and it kind of took a little bit to get to some of the stuff. Like, stuff had happened early on in the book, but it was a little bit more slow burn. This one kicks off pretty quick. So we are introduced to our main character, Kyle, and he is a indie filmmaker, and it's pretty much him, another guy named Dan. They kind of very much split the responsibilities 50-50 on like filming and all of that. And then his editor is kind of like off-site, whatever. So it's really just a super small documentary crew. And one day Kyle gets approached by this man named Max who wants to have Kyle make a film for him. And it is about this cult that was called the Temple of the Last Days. But it was a cult in 1975 where the cult group ended up having like a really insane massacre, and the leader, Sister Catherine, died within that massacre. Anyways, so Max wants to hire Kyle and give him a bunch of money to put this film together. He already has people set up for interviews that were themselves part of the cult, and he has to pretty much go to various areas, England, France, and America, where this cult was, and visit these different sites that the cults briefly lived at in order to like film and all of that. So that's the story, that's the setup, and that's what we're doing. We're following Kyle and Dan as they create this documentary. So there is this cult aspect and there is a paranormal, like supernatural-esque aspect to it, which is fun and I like, and it has so far already had some really creepy imagery throughout it. There's definitely some very creepy scenes, and especially if you get sucked into the atmosphere, I feel like they'll be super effective. And I'm enjoying it. I will say, I think because found footage is something I have watched a lot of movies around. I love found footage. but I have watched a lot, and this feels like most of those so far. I mean, there's definitely stuff that makes it stick out, and again, there is some really creepy imagery moments, but I don't know that I'm getting fully sucked into the story for whatever reason. I don't know, but I am enjoying it, but I'm just not as enthralled and obsessed with it as I thought I would be. This was written, I believe, in 2012. Pretty much peak of found footage horror films, I feel like. So I feel like it might be a consequence of it just being part of the same era of all of the movies that I've seen already, you know what I mean? But I don't know, like, it's good, it's fine, it's feeling like maybe a 3.5 stars right now, because I don't want to give it a 3 stars because I don't think it's like bad, but there's just something that's not sucking me in all the way, but we'll see. It might be because I've more so visually watched found footage that I almost wish I was just watching it instead of reading it. It's not playing out in my head quite the same, I feel, so that might be the issue. I don't know, but I don't want to rag on the book too much and make it seem like I'm really not enjoying it, but I'm just not enjoying it as much as I thought I would, pretty much. But we'll see. There's still like a lot of book to go. It is 531 pages. Adam Neville for me so far has been pretty hit or miss. I think The Ritual, I did end up giving 3.5 stars as well. There is a movie adaptation to The Ritual. Love the movie. Totally different ending though, like so different. And I've also read, what else did I read? The Vessel by Adam Neville. I love this novella. I think that maybe he might be a novella writer for me, which is surprising because I think he'll be like the only author that I'm like, I'd rather read a novella from this person. But so far, I've mostly liked his novella. Well, just the one that I've read, but this was 5 stars. I loved this. But yeah, I don't know. I'm going to keep reading this. I will give one more reading update when I'm like 2/3 of the way in, and then we'll see what else happens because yeah, there's still a lot of time for a lot to happen. So I'm going to keep reading and I'll check back when I'm further in. This should be a pretty quick update because I really don't have too many thoughts. So I'm on chapter 21, page 326. So about 2/3 of the way through of Last Days by Adam Neville. And I don't really have much to say. I'm still having the same experience. I'm enjoying it enough. It is starting to feel a little bit more dragged out for sure. I feel like the action did pick up very fast in the beginning and it read pretty fast, but it just kind of keeps going. So now it is starting to feel a little bit dragged, but there's still a lot of very creepy moments and very creepy imagery that I'm enjoying, but it's just so separated by these really long interviews and like, it just almost feels a little bit info dumpy for the history and experiences of these people from this cult. So while there's like this creepy paranormal stuff happening, it's just very interspersed with these really big long info dumps. It definitely is formatted a little bit less like found footage than I was hoping. It's definitely more of the approach of just following a documentary crew creating a documentary. And even that's like not in like super much detail. We're kind of just following them as they go all these different places, traveling all around and interviewing people. So yeah, it's just like these moments of people spewing their history or experience with this cult. So it's just like not as found footage-y as I was hoping. I guess I would have appreciated it a little bit more if it were a little bit more mixed media, but at the same time, I don't know if that's like a unfair assessment because again, this was written in 2012. So I don't know how much mixed media books there were in 2012. So that might be asking a lot for Adam Neville to have had this be mixed media in 2012, but again, it's just feeling a bit like a product of its time. It's feeling very reminiscent of just most culty types of books. So I don't know how I'm feeling, but I will say they accepted the paranormal explanations very fast. Like our 2 documentary guys accepted the paranormal stuff very fast, which is not a good or bad thing for me per se. Like, I don't have a personal opinion on that, but I know I do get annoyed of books and characters that deny kind of like what's happening for way too long for the book. If that makes sense, like they're just like constantly being bombarded with proof and seeing stuff themselves, and they're still just like, no, it can't be, like it's not true, and they just like carry that denial on for way too long. That annoys me. So this was like kind of the opposite, where I feel like they accepted the paranormal explanations super fast, but there's still like kind of small moments of questioning, but it's more so it feels like the one guy's just kind of pretending a little bit more, like he wants to just be ignorance is bliss. He wants to pretend stuff isn't going on instead of not necessarily not believing it. Did I say that right? He doesn't necessarily not believe it, but he also wants to pretend not everything is happening that is happening. So I can accept that a little bit more than just being super stubborn and whatever. Anyways, so that's it right now. It's feeling definitely much more dragged than it did in the beginning, and it's just like overall still fine. Creepy moments, but yeah, that's like it right now. Not too many deep thoughts on it. So I'm just gonna keep reading and see where it goes. I definitely am curious to see where the rest of the story goes. How much more of the paranormal stuff we're gonna get. I wanted to kind of get to that stuff and focus more on that, because right now we're still doing interviews with people, and I don't know, some of it's a little bit repetitive feeling, a little bit one note feeling, but we'll see. So I have like 200-ish pages left, actually probably just over 200 pages left, so I'm hoping to finish this soon. It's taking me a little bit long to read this, but yeah, I'll come back with final thoughts. I have officially finished Last Days by Adam Neville. Oh my god, this has taken me so long to finish, and it does in fact reflect my enjoyment of this book. I think it ended up taking me 12 days to read this book, and like, yeah, it is chunky, but it still should not have taken me that long to read this book. It just really started to drag for me. It's so weird because I feel so half and half about this book. Some of the stuff I really liked. Again, I've said it already, but there's some really great moments of creepy imagery. I liked a lot of the ideas in this book, but some of it just dragged so much. And I just feel like the balance was off, where again, it was these really long, almost like info dumpy moments of interviews, and then a creepy moment for a little bit, which was cool. And then these really long info dumpy moments, and like so many people, like they interviewed so many people, but also it was kind of a lot of the same stuff going on. And then there was kind of a lot of random side quests, and these people, like the main director guy, his name's Kyle, he ends up getting sent to so many different places, and it almost became comical at a certain point. I'm like, now where's he going? Like, he went to so many different places. At a certain point, I would have just been like, no, I'm not traveling anymore. I'm not going anywhere else. Like, tell me what I need to know, period. This book could have been 200 pages shorter, and then I feel like it would have been super effective for me. And I also found that like the direction the end started to go in was strange, and not like weird, bizarre strange, just like strange in terms of I just didn't like the choice that was made. But then the ending was so rushed, and it like, I don't know. I mostly probably didn't really enjoy this because of the length of it, because it dragged so much, because it took up so much of my time. It makes me lean more towards not liking it, despite it having some okay moments. And again, it started really strong where I felt like we were getting into the action right away. But at the same time, the pace of the action was almost the same throughout the whole book. So like while things were kind of constantly happening or constantly being told to us, it wasn't necessarily building. Yeah, it just really wasn't keeping my attention like at all by the end. And I feel like by the end, I was just finishing it to finish it and to see what ultimately ended up happening. But the ultimate ending felt so anticlimactic at the same time. I don't know. I think it would make an interesting movie, but I would not want to spend the time to read this book again, ever. So the length definitely made this book suffer, which is why I was a little nervous going into this, because chunky books in general make me nervous, but specifically chunky horror, especially if there's not something else going on. Like if we're not jumping timelines, or we're not jumping characters, or we're not getting mixed media, like if there's not something else going on and we're following the same linear timeline and the same character the whole time, then that's what makes a chunky book feel so chunky, versus when it's being broken up and we're getting a few different narratives, a few different perspectives. So yeah, this book felt every bit of the length that it is. I don't know what to rate it. Part of me wants to give it just like a 3-star, but it's like a really low 3-star. So then I'm kind of like, should I just give it a 2.5? Because again, by the time we were at the end, I just wanted to be done. So I feel like that takes it down a little bit. So I think I'm going to give it 2.5 stars. I'll give it 3 stars on Goodreads, but it's like 2.5, maybe even 2 if you catch me on a bad day. I think that's all I have to say. Oh, also, actually, I was getting irritated in the last third of the book because all of a sudden, because I had made the comments along the way that I felt like our characters very quickly accepted the paranormal stuff going on. And then all of a sudden, the like last third, our main character is all of a sudden in denial about everything. And he's like, this isn't possible, blah, 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 blah. Like, why are you flipping it now at the end? Like, what? So that like actually ended up irritating me, because all of a sudden he's being told more explanations after having witnessed and been part of actual like experiences and paranormal things happening and phenomena and whatever. So he's getting explanations for it and he's like, that's impossible. I'm like, why are you now denying it? Like, if anything, you denied in the beginning and then you come around to it. But this was almost the reverse. So that was weird. That threw me off. That pissed me off. But yeah, anyways, do I recommend it? I don't know. I don't know. That's your call if you want to read this. It's long. Again, it has some cool things going on in it, but I don't know. It's a commitment. So you decide. I don't know if I recommend it or not. Okay, so that book out of the way. Moving on to the second poll. The next poll I had was based on blurbs on each book. So in the top option, the blurbs I picked were, quote, mind-bending in ways drugs never could, both mournful and hopeful, and horror that builds in an almost absurdist fashion, making the dread that much more effective. And that book was Grass Hands by Kyle Winkler. This one was hard for blurbs because it doesn't have that many blurbs, because I think that this is like, it's either indie published or maybe self-published. Oh my god, there's more blurbs on the inside. Ugh, I could have picked out more blurbs from the inside. I'm stupid and I did not open the book. I just read the back and I looked up ones online to see if there were any others listed online. And yeah, there's more on the inside, but whatever. Anyways, this book is pretty much described as a body horror, biblio horror, mind-bending type of book. I'm not gonna lie, the summary is a little bit confusing. It sounds like a very trippy book. It says, everything wrong with the world is wrong with books. When overworked assistant Sylvia Hicks finds a strange moss smothering the library books, there's little to worry about. But when patrons start eating it, gaining direct knowledge of the books, then losing their minds, Sylvia has deep problems. Moreover, her supervisor is a glue addict, her best friend Albert is growing into a giant, and Clara Gamelin, the library board director is shaping her to be the next ball-busting head librarian. It is a job she does not want. Sylvia is haunted by the moss because it's somehow connected to a horrific creature from her childhood, a creature she once named Grass Hands and has since forgotten. Stopping Grass Hands from decaying the town's mind, the library books, and the slow rot of time is the only job now available to her, whether she wants it or not. So it sounds crazy and bananas, but that was the first option. The second option I had in the poll, I picked out the blurbs that said, quote, hypnotic, grotesque, and beautiful all at once, digs deep into the viscera of one's own physical and emotional hungers, and is satisfying both as a horror and as a portrait of the dark side of feminine rage. And those blurbs were for the book The Lamb by Lucy Rose. This is pretty much a book about a mother-daughter duo and they're cannibals. And that's all I know, and that's all I would want to go in knowing for this book. And this is the book that won with 65% of the votes. So my next read is going to be The Lamb by Lucy Rose. I'm excited. I know it's going to be much more of a kind of literary horror. So yeah, that's what I'm going in with. I've heard a lot of really great things about this so far. I do think I'm going to like it, but having heard so many positive things, it does make me a little bit more nervous going into it. I just feel like every time I go into a book that's like hyped up or a lot of people love it, I just end up feeling like the oddball out and end up not connecting with it the same way it seems like a lot of other people do. But I'm hoping that this is the exception. And I'm hoping that I'm one of the people that also loves this. I mean, I have a good feeling about it. That's why I got it, but we'll see. I feel like I'm also just feeling a little bit down about reading in general and a little bit slumpy after last days. But here's to hoping that this is a much better reading experience. So I'm going to get into this and I will check back. Let's see, how long is this book? I might just do a 50%, around 50% check-in on this book because it's not super long. It's about 330-ish pages. So I'll probably read half of it, maybe do a halfway check-in and a final thoughts. But if I have more things to say along the way, I'll update you guys then. But I'm gonna start this. It is so gloomy and overcast out and I hate it, and it's probably making me look very blue and washed out, but it's what we're working with right now. I'm hoping that the sun comes out later today. I don't know, I need the sun to energize me because I'm feeling a little bit gloomy with the weather, if I'm being honest. But anyways, I have started The Lamb by Lucy Rose. Yeah, Lucy Rose. And I am pretty far into it. I'm actually like 55% of the way in on page 178, chapter 46. So just over halfway through. The chapters are super short, which is kind of nice. Like the thing is with short chapters, I either end up reading the book very fast or reading the book very slow because I'm like, oh, I've already read 10 chapters. Like I've read a lot. But when they're short chapters, those 10 chapters are only like, I don't know, 20 to 40 pages or something. Whereas like if I read more chapters on a longer book, you know, you get the idea. So short chapters for me are like good or bad. It either makes me read it faster or makes me read it actually slower. But anyways, that's beside the point. Book has very short chapters. If you're into that, that's a pro for you. So what is this book about? I don't remember if I said before, but pretty much we're following a mother and a daughter, and they live in the woods, and they're cannibals, and they pretty much eat people that the mother will call strays, which are lost people, quite literally and also figuratively, like lost in life, whatever. And yeah, they eat them. One day a woman named Eden shows up, and Eden and the mother end up having a sapphic relationship. And yeah, you're following the POV of the daughter of Margot. I don't know how young she is or like her age. She is definitely younger though, but I have no idea how old she is. It's hard to tell because she really doesn't read or feel like super young. You know that she's young, but she also has very insightful thoughts. And again, because of the situation and her mother's influence, she's just like not a typical little girl. So I don't know how old she is, but we do follow her POV, but it doesn't feel like we're following the POV of a young child. So there's that observation for you, whether that's good or bad for you. I like it like that a little bit more than feeling like I'm following an immature person. She feels more mature, very insightful, but again, it has a lot to do with the circumstances that she's growing up in and these ideologies that she's growing up in. Anyways, the book is very atmospheric and very dark, whimsical, almost like a dark cottagecore, dark fairy tale feel. Definitely much more of an atmospheric, vibey book. Not much happening plot-wise other than they're eating people and like there's grotesque moments, but it's not an action-packed story by any means. It's definitely more for the exploration of these characters and the underlying themes going on within the story. I've read a lot of very vibey and atmospheric books lately, and I am having a hard time really sinking my teeth into the story because I feel like I kind of personally right now need an action-packed story and more like a popcorn read. And I feel like it's being a little bit detrimental to the story. Not to say I'm not liking it though. I am enjoying it and what it's doing and the vibes of the book and, you know, the themes of the book and all of that. I am enjoying it. It's feeling a little bit like a 3.5, 4-star currently. But I feel like it would have hit even harder if I were currently in the mood for something a little bit more vibey and a little bit more atmospheric, because that's really what this book is. So I'm not hating it by any means, but I'm also not loving it the way that a lot of other people have been loving it. But I do feel like this would be very much grouped in the same type of vibe and same type of book stack as Bloom by Delilah S. Dawson. In saying that, I didn't like Bloom, but I do feel like one and the same type of person might like one or the other, if not both. It's just a little bit set up different. Whereas Bloom is very kind of dark cottagecore following a sapphic relationship. This one is very much that, except it's the POV of the younger child, and I feel like there's less emphasis on the relationship part and more emphasis in this book on the mother-daughter aspect. You're seeing a sapphic relationship, but there's more emphasis in it, this extra added layer and level to a mother-daughter dynamic versus just the sapphic relationship dynamic. But it is interesting because the young girl, because of the circumstances she's growing up in, she has a very like twisted way of thinking about things and seeing things because she just doesn't know any better because that's what she's been taught this whole time. So it's just really interesting to read her perspective, and she seems relatively average, I guess, as a person, and then she just says something or witnesses something totally grotesque and off the wall and very unhinged, and you're reminded that these people are not, you know, normal, I guess. They're not completely sane. They're cannibals, and they have a very twisted sense of looking at people and looking at humanity. And yeah, so it's interesting for sure. It almost feels like the origin story of the witch from Hansel and Gretel. Like, I feel like the little girl in the story could grow up to be the witch in the woods of the Hansel and Gretel stories. So that's kind of the vibes that this book is the whole way through. And yeah, it's not very action-packed, but it is pretty interesting, and I am enjoying it. I'm enjoying the writing for the most part, but I definitely want to kind of finish it. So my goal is to finish this book today. I should be able to. I mean, it does read fast once you sit down and like focus on it, or once I sit down and focus on it rather. But I will pick it up and set it down so frequently that it's taking me quite a bit longer to get through it. So my goal today is to sit down, hunker down, read this, and finish it today. Maybe even start a new book if I'm feeling really zesty. But yeah, I'm a little bit just ready for this book to be over. I'm curious where it's going to go. I feel like so far it's been a little bit of the same thing, but I do have maybe a feeling where it might go, where the ending might take us. So yeah, I'm just gonna keep reading. I'm gonna probably hop on sprints for Escape the Readathon with Kimberly today, because I know that she's hosting. So I'm probably gonna hop on those so I can like really focus in on reading. So I'll probably hop on those. I am currently reading Against the Hackers. So yeah, that's it. That's my update. That's my really long-winded, babbly update. So I will come back with final thoughts. Okay, so I finished The Lamb by Lucy Rose, and you know, it was okay. It was good. It was like slightly better than mediocre in my opinion. I think that the writing was really lovely, and I think that there were some really, really great lines in this book, a lot of very quotable lines in this book, and I do really like the themes that this book was doing. There's definitely a lot of themes surrounding motherhood and womanhood and girlhood in general, and the expectations that come along with those, and a lot of themes touching on how we consume people, in this case both literally but also figuratively and emotionally, and how we consume people whether we intentionally mean to do it positively or negatively. So I like this idea of consuming people and how it ties in with like the mother-daughter relationship and the complicated dynamic, especially when a woman pursues motherhood kind of against her will and without truly wanting motherhood. So in that becomes a very toxic dynamic. But I do think that this was too long for what it was. I think it ended up dragging quite a bit. I think it was quite a bit repetitive in what it was saying and what it was doing. And it just almost like fizzled out at the end. It didn't really build up to this great thing. It was like building up, but it just didn't feel like a huge climactic thing. It just kind of felt inevitable. So it didn't feel very, I don't know, exciting, I guess. I don't know. There's just something about this book that it felt dragged, and I think it needed to be slimmed down and edited down quite a bit for it to have the impact I think it wanted to have. But again, I do think that the writing was good. And again, there's a lot of really good quotable moments. So for that, I'm giving it a 3.5 stars. I'm kind of bumping it up to a 3.5 because of the writing and the themes and all of that. So yeah, that was The Lamb. But I'm gonna be honest, you guys. I really don't feel like reading the book that won the next poll. I will share with you guys the results and the books that the next poll was. But I'm pulling an audible and I'm doing a new poll because I really, really, really don't want to be in a reading slump. And I need a book that is just more engaging, more fun. I need a popcorn read. So I'm going to put up a new poll onto my Instagram. But the original third poll was voting based on books 1-star reviews, which I will do again just with 2 different books. So the original one, here's the picture of it. Here you go. So the top book, I had 2 reviews for, and it said, this book is a solid 2 stars, and that is being generous. I had no idea what was happening through most of the book. 1 minute girlie is running from a bear, and the next she's talking to a book about her brother's gambling issues, which I just thought was funny because I was like, what does that mean? And then the second 1-star review that I picked for that book was terrible book, terrible ending. I just could not wait to finish it. So that book was After the Forest by Kel Woods, which is like a Hansel and Gretel retelling pretty much. So that was what that book was. And then the other option, I had 3 reviews for. And honestly, I feel like it wasn't a very fair poll because After the Forest didn't really have good, funny 1-star reviews. And that's kind of what I wanted to go for, was like funny 1-star reviews. It didn't have as many good ones though. But the next book had 3 that I posted, and they said, this book killed my love of reading. I dreaded it every day, which is so funny to me. The next one said, they say one should keep quiet if they have nothing nice to say, so that's exactly what I'll do. And the good reviews of this book must be blatant lies. Nobody I talked to fully enjoyed this book. And that one won with 58% of the votes, and I feel like it's because the reviews were a little bit more funny. And the reviews for that were for the book God Killer by Hannah Kaner. Both of these books were on my spring TBR, so I should get to them, but I'm not. I don't feel like reading either of these books. I'm sorry. I even just glanced at the first page of God Killer because this would have been the book that I would have to read. And I can't do it, you guys. I have a headache. I'm not doing it. So instead, I just posted another poll, which I'm going to wait for the results for tomorrow. So I'm not going to read for the rest of the night. But I just posted another poll. I did another one based on the 1-star reviews. So for the top book, I have, quote, this was painful to read. It's essentially what you would expect from a Goosebumps adaptation. Even that is giving the book far too much credit. The next one is, I'm confused why this has such high rating and reviews. I almost want to ask Amazon for a refund. And then the third one is, seriously guys, this was so cringy, I take it back. This is a 1-star. This might even be less than 0. And that book is Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. And then the reviews for the second book are, this is not good. I DNF'd at 50%. I tapped out at the smells fishy vag joke. LMFAO, was this written by someone from Dare? Literally reads like, if you do drugs, you will die. And then the third 1-star review I picked is, okay, so the kills 5 stars, the rest 1 star. And that book is Tastes Like Candy by Ivy Tholen. This has been on my physical TBR for far too long. So we'll see if it wins. Both of these are shorter slashers, and I think that they're going to be a bit more campy, a bit more fun, and definitely more kind of popcorn reads. So those are the books that are currently being voted on in real time right now. So I will check back tomorrow to share with you guys the results, which one won, and then I will start reading again tomorrow. Okay, it is the next day. We're going to check the poll results. I was looking at it a little bit throughout the night, and I have a feeling on which one did win. Let's see. It is like so close, but I'm going to call it here because I need to sit down and start reading one of these. But the official winner is Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy with only 52% of the votes. It was so close. It's the difference of 6 votes. It was very close, but Rest Stop is the winner. So I'm going to start this, and I will probably, honestly, I'm just going to read the whole thing and give you guys my thoughts on it. This is only 138 pages, so I'm going to read this whole thing and come back with my thoughts. It would be cool if I could finish it tonight, but I don't know if I will. It's already kind of late. It's already 5 p.m. I'm just like not a big binge reader, so I have to like pick up my phone and take a break after every like 20 pages I read or so. So I'll probably have to sit down with it a little bit tomorrow too, but either way, I will just be back with my final thoughts. So it did end up taking me 2 days, but I finished Rest Stop by Nat Cassidy. The premise of the story is pretty much we are following this guy who decides to go to a rest stop to pick up some snacks, and all hell breaks loose, okay? That's really all you should go in with because it is very short. I said it was even more pages than it actually is because I didn't realize there's like a bonus story preview at the back of the book. So the actual story is only 124 pages. So yeah, this was fine. I knew going into it that it had more of a comedy aspect to it. It was a little bit more tongue-in-cheek. So I knew to expect that going into it because I do feel like the reviews I've seen have been pretty split because a lot of people didn't realize it was going to be so like comedic because it's quite a bit different tone compared to Nat Cassidy's previous works. Although I have heard that When the Wolf Comes Home is a little bit campy as well. But yeah, so this has a little bit more of a comedic tongue-in-cheek tone to it. And some of it was funny. I did giggle a couple times. And I feel so about the main character. He annoyed me a little bit, but also I kind of liked him. So I don't know, I'm very split with this one. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I think it was, you know, good enough and it was entertaining for the time that I read it. But I'm glad it's a novella. I think it worked the best as a novella. And yeah, it was a time. Like, I wouldn't rave about it. It's just like not my personal taste of books that I love, but it was entertaining enough. It was fun enough. And that's kind of just what I needed, was a fun intermission type of book, because I've not been having the best time reading, if we're being honest. That being said, I am starting a new vlog, and I've already started a book for that vlog, and I'm loving it. So I'm starting to get my reading energy back. So I am excited to close out this vlog so I can start my next vlog and tell you guys about the book I just started, because I'm loving it and I want to sit down and read it so much. And that's super exciting because I feel like I haven't been super motivated to read this whole month because it's just kind of been a lot of mediocre books. I mean, this whole vlog was between 2.5 and 3.5 stars. And yeah, that's just like not a rating range that makes me excited to read, but the book I'm currently reading feels really good. But I still had a really fun time creating the polls, so if you guys voted in the polls on my Instagram, thank you so much for participating and helping me pick my books. If you've read any of the books that I read in this vlog, let me know what you thought of them in the comments down below. If you made it to this point but have nothing else to say but want to let me know you were here, leave me an eyeball emoji, since the googly eyes is kind of like a big thing in this book. If you haven't yet, please give the video a like, subscribe for future content, turn on the bell notification, all the fun YouTube things that help your girl out, and I will catch you guys in the next video. Bye!